Right, guys, so this is live now. So welcome to the You Are Born Rich Mastermind group. Always seems to be us three amigos, eh, guys? It's Ian and Josh, the A team. I guess everyone else seems to be working, this sort of time, or it's just they find time to. I know that Samantha's not very well. She's got a few headaches, which is why she isn't on board. So if you are watching, Samantha, I hope you are better by now. And Eamon is super busy, and I know Charlie's out and about as well. But everyone can catch up on the mastermind and try and have some information. I know you two have both been quite good on the chat box. You've been informative and just seeing how you've been going in your week and stuff, which is cool. Just to get the idea of bouncing around and keeping it fresh. Getting just different perspectives on things. So so this chapter, how much is enough? How did you guys find it?
It was interesting.
I
really like the idea of paying yourself first.
Yeah.
That's what stuck to my brain. Paying
exactly.
yourself first, then the others.
Mm.
And so deciding on how much money do you want.
Yeah. No, that was a big one for me.
That's a very important thing. Yeah.
How about you, MJ? You like it?
Yeah. Like I've written before, it's good that he's doing like practical things that you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like goal setting, as in how much you want to earn or make or whatever, is a good idea. Because it gives you something to aim for.
Exactly. No, that's fantastic. And just to recap on me and money as well, guys. I mean, obviously, as we're going through the chapters, we're going to move on and move on and move on. But, the principles from the previous chapters should be, just building this little wall, this little foundation of who we are and how we're developing. So obviously the principles of me and money and actually getting comfortable with the idea of money. I'm not sure if you guys have been using any, money consciousness words, being more aware of when you're paying for things or, how that's been working out for you.
Yeah, I've been doing that.
That's cool. How did you find it?
Okay, I mean, I got my loan through today, so I've been paying some bills and stuff.
Yeah.
Originally, I didn't.
Yeah. So I lost it again.
I think more positively.
Oh. You there? MJ?
Yeah.
Ah, cool. I lost you through it for a second, and I'm not sure what that was about. Maybe the signal just dropped.
Oh, right. No, I don't know.
No, that's cool. Sorry, what were you saying again?
Just that, I'm trying to have a more positive attitude towards it. Rather than doing, giving money to people, like I said, begrudgingly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want people. So if someone owed me some money, I wouldn't want them to have that attitude towards me. So.
And that's a really good way to look at it, actually. No, that's cool. And as I said, these early chapters are kind of the initial chapters to kind of get used to things. And we'll touch on the recaps a lot more as we move into the chapters, just to make sure we haven't missed anything, because it's there's quite a lot of depth in a lot of these chapters. So it's sometimes good just to go back and have a little look through. I mean, obviously the recordings are yours as well, so you're welcome to go back even after it's finished, or if you're going through, you want to recap one of them, they'll still be there for you to have a little look at, and to obviously read the book. It'll be there as well. Now, we mentioned a few things about affirmations as well when it comes to money, and I've got a couple down here, which some of the ones that I use, some of the ones that might maybe jump out at you guys as something that helps you. And it's a funny thing, and I'm going to touch a little bit on how we use our words later on as well, that how affirmations can actually affect how we feel about things. And I get it now, but before affirmations were a part of my life, I just thought, how can saying something actually turn it into reality? And that's when I kind of was like, yeah, I don't really get that. I like the idea, but I didn't really understand how it was, ever going to make a real difference. I might feel a bit better, but what's I can actually do? But funnily enough, we're actually using affirmations and programming this into my mind. Actually saying, money is brilliant. It comes at me in large abundance from lots of different areas of my life, continuously. The more service I give, the more money I seem to have. Little things like that, and tweaking it to my own little personality. I love how money comes to me easily in a great abundance. Just little things I can say to myself, and just really have that comfort zone with money. It's really been a bit of a change for me. I seem to have, it does start flowing to you, and then you feel more comfortable with it as well. I'm not sure if you guys use any affirmations when it comes to money specifically.
Yeah.
How about you, Adrian?
I'm using money. I love people and I use money. And money is a servant. I am the master.
No, that's brilliant.
I like these two a lot.
That's good. They're really two good ones, and that's kind of the control as well, like you say, with the prosperity consciousness. You like to be the master of the money, which is excellent. I would advise as well maybe to have some sort of, money is flowing to me sort of affirmation. So it's good that you're getting a consciousness there, but as well just to say, I receive money happily now. Money flows to me easily. I'm sensible with money and I manage it wisely. Really being specific actually does make a big difference. But it's great that you guys are actually using some of these and actually moving forward with them. Now, what do your future expenses look like, guys? I don't know how much detail you went into this. How about you, Adrian, with your future expenses?
My future expenses?
Like, for example, when we're going through, when Bob was talking about, how much is enough, and then he was saying, being specific and saying, what are you going to spend the money on? For example, how much does your car cost that you want to have? How much does a house cost? And just figuring out, what a holiday is going to cost, and then figuring out how much money you need to earn to do all those things.
Yeah, well, the house I really want to have is around £500,000.
Yeah.
The car I like to drive is, let's say, around £100,000.
Yeah. And it is.
What else?
Yeah, it's brilliant. Well, I say it's one of the things that I did, and it had quite a powerful impact because what I realised was I wanted to become a millionaire. To have all these things that I needed to have. To live the life that we all want, we need to be millionaires, right?
Yeah.
But to be fair, once I actually writ out, the one that I writ out is in something I want it to be in a couple of years' time. For me, I want to have a nice 2-bedroom house, a detached or semi-detached house somewhere, which is just mine and my girlfriend's. I'm driving around in a nice sports car, and I like had the holidays, had a couple of nice, 2 or 3 really nice holidays, all expenses paid for a few weeks in the nicest hotels in the island. I picked out this specific car, the make and model. I went into a lot of detail, like crazy detail, but stuff I'd have to pay for. Like, I'm into my sleep quite a lot, and I found the certain bed which is called an IntelliBed. Now they're about £7,000, but there's a lot of stuff in there that helps, your back, maintenance as you're getting older. I don't have a bad back, but just going through that, and I figured out, how much it's going to cost for my rent. So I won't have to buy the property, obviously. I'll just be renting. So how much is rent going to cost? I want to go to some seminars. So how much are they going to cost? And I just had a full list of things that are going to cost me, bills included as well. And it took me maybe an hour or two to write it down. But then once I'd written all this stuff down, I figured out it cost about £100,000 to have all this. Maybe about 150 including tax. And I thought, all right. And now that actually seemed to me a lot more achievable, than millions. And actually made me think, I don't need to actually make that much. And I figured out, right, so if I'm making that, I need to have 150,000, and it's about, 11,000 a month that I need to earn. In a perfect world, what do I need to do to earn 11,000 a month? And you're starting to make these plans. And what you're going to do to actually make that certain amount. Because I'm happy with that. And obviously I want to have, like, houses all over the world and, aeroplanes and stuff as well. But in a couple of years' time, what do my expenses look like? and this is quite powerful to have, because it gives you a good gauge of what you really want to earn, and then that really is kind of the chapter of, you know, how much is enough, and you figure out a good balance for yourself. So I'd really advise you guys make a note of that, and it's something that's quite powerful, you know, and you kind of also conditioning your mind to kind of see where you're going to be specifically and what kind of things you want. And like little things, like now I'll look into a magazine and I'll see the bed, and I'll be like, oh no, I'll be looking at them and getting my IntelliBed, you know, and just little things, and you kind of just getting comfortable with the idea of having these things. So that's definitely something I'd recommend for you both to look in specifically. And what we touched on last week about goals, you know, being specific and having that clarity is great. And the same way, you know, because we can all work out what car you want, or what sort of environment you want to live in, how much your clothes are going to cost. You can actually figure it out, you know, to the pound. Well, not to the pound exactly, but, you know, within a couple of £100 or a couple of £1,000. And then once you got that clarity, then you know how to move forward with your savings, and how much you need to be saving, how much you need to be spending, and how much you need to be earning. Did you guys find the clarity with the chapter, you know, when you were saying, you know, it's good to put a perspective on the finances and what you need to be saving? You guys find any clarity in that? You know, made you see things a bit easier?
Yeah, I mean, I often go on Rightmove and look at mansions in Snowdonia.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's like that, the image of the house is in my mind.
Brilliant.
And like the price range. And I want William to go to a private school, so I've been looking at private schools and stuff and how much they cost. I was doing this before I read the chapter, so it just confirmed that I was on the right track, really.
Definitely.
I even managed to start putting money into an account, a savings account, which I wasn't doing before. So yeah, I'm trying to do the the practical advice on chapter 2. So, but some of it I've been doing before anyway. So.
Sure, absolutely, that's brilliant. You know, it just confirms a lot of things with yourself as well. You know you're on the right track, moving forward, which is brilliant. Now, obviously, when we say to ourselves, you know, I want to have a lot of money. Now, to these people, they each say to themselves, I want to have a lot of money. I want lots of money. But our conscious mind, our subconscious doesn't actually know what lots of money is. And this is what I was kind of touching on with the specifics. I know that seemed a little bit tedious. I mean, good. It was good that MJ, you've looked into that sort of stuff. But, you know, it's really good they actually looked at specific houses, and that probably in actual schools and stuff. And it probably actually made you work towards, you know, getting this business started and setting up the savings plan as well. You know, having a mansion, like you said, for yourself there, Adrian. You know, and like the big house, it's going to cost £500,000, and you know the car will cost, you know, 100,000. Your mind does work in specific ways. And like I said, all these people who say, I want to have a nice house, it's going to cost about £500,000. Fantastic, but then what does it look like? And like, what does it actually need to be £500,000, or what is actually, you know, what's lots of money for them, or what's a nice house for them? And then, you know, because lots of money to all these people. Got Bill Gates on the right hand side, going down to a homeless person in India on the left, and obviously a little girl wants lots of money, and a businessman wants lots of money. It's all different, but at the end of the day, lots of money is it's not a real thing. It's just something that we want to have. So being specific is key here, and it's best to work with definite and specific thoughts. If not, you're being exact with certain things, but just, you know, with your goals, you know, where you want to be. I want to be successful. You know, if you want to have, you know, tell yourself, well, what is success to me then in business? I want to have 10 clients. Brilliant. When will I have them by? I'm going to have them by, you know, December. Okie dokie, what I need to do from now to December to get those clients? And how long? I mean, we spoke with you briefly, MJ, in our achievement plan. You know, how many clients need to have within a couple of months? You know, and what does it look like? What are you looking for? And it just gives you a bit more clarity and a bit more structure to it as well. And it makes it seem a lot more realistic and, you know, very, very achievable. I don't know if you guys felt any guilt or any greed when you were thinking about, you know, these big mansions and big things you wanted to plan.
Yeah, sometimes I feel a bit foolish,
Yeah.
wondering if I'm just being silly? Will I ever really get this, or am I just dreaming?
How about you, Adrian?
The same.
Yeah, it is true. You know,
The
it is a
same
bit of a
because
strange thing. Sorry, go on.
yeah.
But yeah, it's true. Like,
I forgot what I wanted to say.
not a worry, mate. Not worry about it. Yeah, it's one of them things, you know, and these all boils down to our paradigms, and what we're used to. And it's what I said last week. You know, if you put yourself in a room with your family and friends and said to them, you know, I'm going to be successful, you know, how would you feel? And these feelings of foolishness and a bit of greed and a bit like, you know, I'm not really sure I believe this. It's part of, you know, I'm not expecting you to think I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm really comfortable with it. But, you know, these are just the things with the affirmations coming into place and a comfortableness around having money. You'll reach a point, like for myself, I've done it for quite a long time now. I do feel comfortable in saying, because I know for a fact of where I'm going to be and how much I'm going to earn, and it's going to be successful. I'm going to have, you know, a certain amount of money within a certain amount of time. And I can happily tell anyone about it because I feel comfortable enough with it. And then I can start working towards it. And there's no sense of, oh, what am I doing here? This is a bit strange. You know, this is just, I know what I need to do now. I'm going to get there. And there's no little roadblocks for your mind to think, am I doing this? Is this actually me? Or, you know, is this comfortable? And you actually make more clear plans, and you actually work towards it. And this is the prosperity consciousness, which you spoke about as well. And it's great what you mentioned earlier, Adrian, about, you know, one is a great servant but a bad master, or something along those lines with your affirmations. You know, you love people, and, you know, you use money, and money's a servant. So that is great. And this is what I was saying about your paradigms. Just to refresh as well, you know, a paradigm is an intellectual perception or view accepted by an individual or society as a clear example, model, or pattern of how things work in the world. Now, when a person's conditioned by the environment and their thoughts, it in turn comes about who they are. It becomes who they are, and their belief systems are what they do, which gives us the results. You know, that becomes who we are as people. And this is what these thoughts and feelings of foolishness actually do happen. You know, so you actually, if you feel foolish about having a lot of money, your action happens, well, okay, I'm not cut out for, you know, I'm not obviously not a business person. So you start thinking, getting nervous about making a lead and speaking to people about it. So it's just definitely a conscious game. And we spoke about, you know, developing the mental acuity first and then getting the results. It's making sense, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like I've been talking talking you to death a little bit.
No, we're just listening.
No, that's all right then.
I'm just listening.
That's put me at ease. Now, this is something as well, and it does directly relate to this with affirmations, and it's how language affects how we think. And I've read a couple of books now, one by Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield as well, where they mention strongly about language and how we use it. And I mean, I'm sure you had people who, you know, you ask them how they are, and they'll say, not bad. Or they say, yeah, all right. And you instantly know how they feel. And they kind of look like how they're saying it. You know, they look all right, and they say, yeah, not bad. You know, they're kind of slumped. They're not very happy. You know, they're saying it with a bit of a, you know, they're not smiling or anything. They just look not bad. And not bad isn't good, by the way. It's just not being bad. I mean, I'm sure you have an experience of dealing with these sort of people.
Oh yeah, I could be like that sometimes though. I can feel tired and start moaning that I feel tired.
No, it is true. And I say no one is perfect. But then it's just one of these weird things. Like for me especially, it's funny with having my girlfriend there as well. I've really consciously worked myself to understand the language, how I think, and how it affects me as a person in my conscious mind. And I struggle to say things at times now. Like she'll say to me, I don't know, something like, you know, oh, don't you just hate that person? And I'll be like, I literally can't say yes. Like everything in me saying, nah, she could be an alright person. But you don't disagree with you, my girlfriend. You know, I want to go along with it. So I don't want to be that guy who's always, ultra positive, but it's almost impossible for not to be. When someone asks, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fantastic, thanks. How are you? And everyone's like, oh, okay, cool. How are you? Oh, I'm all right. And it really kind of emphasizes how I feel as a person. I feel positive. There's no negativity towards anyone or thing that I do. If I feel tired, it makes me feel, and I say that I'm tired, it makes me feel more tired. And it does have an effect on, like you were saying, MJ, when you feel tired, and you just say it because you are. And it is something that we do. But like when you're having a really good time, people saying, "Oh, how are you doing?" It's like, "Yeah, amazing. I've had a really good night out." Or I've watched this amazing movie. It feels awesome, and you feel awesome, and your words are actually saying it as well. But I'm sure you've never had an experience when you're internally feeling amazing. You're actually so pumped up, and someone said, "Oh, how are you feeling?" And you're like, "Yeah, okay." But internally you feel amazing. It actually makes you feel just okay. And I'm not sure this is getting through to you, but it's a really important thing of how we start saying things. And you should really become aware of how the words that you're saying to yourself. Research indicates that about the average person, including you, talks to himself or herself about 50,000 times a day. And most of the self-talk is about yourself. And according to the research, it's 80% negative. We're always criticizing ourselves, I wish I was doing this, wish I was doing that. Why are we always arguing? These two people are saying. And they're saying to themselves, the words they're using, and you had to listen to this a little bit close. Why are we always arguing? Might sound like a question, but internally you hear yourself saying, we're always arguing. We always arguing. So they're saying to themselves, that's what we always do. We always argue. They condition themselves to argue. It might seem like a question to them, but they're actually telling themselves we're always arguing. And, they always work me through. Why is it they always work? There's so much work to do. Yeah, there's always so much work to do. Always, it's a strong word, always. It makes you conditioned. Why am I not rich? You're telling yourself you're not rich. And, why is lunch so far away? And you don't feel good with these questions, and we do ask ourselves that, and it's true. But it's just something you might want to work on, and it's quite powerful, from what I've had an experience with. And it's about what you're focusing on and how you're feeling. I mean, these guys on the left-hand side of the screen, they're feeling okay, not bad. But the guys on the right-hand side, they're feeling great. And you can tell physiologically by how they're feeling by just looking at them. And it's just the words that they're saying to themselves as well, Are you focusing on the positive or the negatives? Just try and be consciously aware. You don't have to change anything because it's tough. And it's something that, the initial stage is being aware of the positivity or negativity. It's a case of when you're talking and when someone asks you, oh, what do you think of this guy? Or how was the movie last night? What are you saying in response? Are you saying, yeah, it was all right? Or are you saying, oh, yeah, it was really good, thanks? And what have you been up to? You've been really positive. Or are you saying to yourself, yeah, but it is, I'm always a little bit broke. Or are you being positive about the situation? And just being aware of it is the first step. I don't expect to change your full language of what you're saying, but I want you to become aware of it. You start noticing how much you are being negative, and you will be. I was completely negative. I didn't even realise. I thought I was being positive. But then after a while, you'll start thinking, oh, okay, cool. And then you'll start catching yourself before you're about to say something. And eventually, you can have days and weeks without actually being any negativity at all, which sounds crazy, but it's very, very empowering. And there's a story here as well of how powerful our words are on our physical body. There's something I read in a couple of books now, actually, the same story. There was a man who was working on the train, and he was working in some department near the kitchen, and he was trying to fix the fridges, and they have like these walk-in fridges and freezers, where the door shuts behind you, and it's like a big room full of all the food for the train. So he went into this freezer, and he was fixing the light, and the door actually slammed behind him, and he was trapped in the freezer, and he couldn't get out, and he was banging and banging and banging. But these freezers are to keep the cool in, they're really well insulated, so not much sound can actually get out of the freezer once you're in there, and not much can get in once you're on the outside. And so this guy sat in the freezer and he's thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? And it's, a few hours go past and he's given up, obviously calling for help because he's just cold. And then he starts to write a little journal on the freezer wall, just in the ice, just telling us, oh, I'm getting really cold now, and he's put his name and said, I'm freezing to death. I'm absolutely freezing, and just listen to the words he's using to himself. I'm freezing to death. It's so cold in here, I can barely even breathe. Is what he's writing on the wall. And eventually, after a little bit further down and like scribbly writing, he's saying, I think I'm gonna die. I think this is gonna be my last little bit of time. And actually, the guy actually died. And it's sorry to put a down on it. It's not a very nice story to hear. But the interesting thing was that this guy who was stuck in the freezer, because there was a fault in the freezer, the temperature wasn't as cold as it should have been. And it wasn't actually cold enough to really freeze things. It was like, say, about -6 or 7 degrees. It felt cold to him, obviously, because it's a freezer and that's cold enough. But it definitely wasn't enough to kill somebody. He'd literally talked himself into death. Now, when I heard that, that's quite powerful. That's quite powerful, though, right, guys?
Scary.
Yeah, I read an example just like this in Think and Grow Rich.
And that's literally the power.
The guy who stole from the bank money and what?
Yep. Sorry, I'm listening to you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think it's a bit of delay as well, actually, on your side.
I couldn't hear you for a minute.
But yeah, carry on with the Think and Grow Rich story there, man.
Yeah. Yeah, there was this guy who stole from the bank some money, and once he stayed at home in bed, and he was thinking, what am I gonna do? They're gonna catch me. They're gonna send me to prison. I'm gonna die in prison and things like that. And he actually died in bed.
Yeah, it's crazy. And obviously, these are extreme examples, but it just goes to show these people have literally killed themselves through worrying. And then obviously, not just worrying, but just in general day-to-day, our words have a huge impact on how we're feeling. And negative thoughts can affect your body. There's actually a study I actually listened to a while ago, when the scientists actually were testing out how powerful thoughts are. I might have told you guys this, I'm not sure. They had a couple of petri dishes of water, and what they did was they got the students in the class to all go up to one of these glasses of water and think really positive thoughts, or really nice memories they had, and really happy, positive vibes, and put them into this little petri dish, just mentally, just thinking, and focus on this little petri dish. And then what they did was freeze it. And the similar thing with the other petri dish, they all went up there to the dish, and they thought ultra negative thoughts, the worst thing they could think about, death, and all the really horrible stories they can imagine, and just being really mean to this little water. Sounds a bit horrible. And what they did was freeze that one as well. And then once they were frozen, the both of them, they put it in a defrost and got a microscope underneath the ice as it defrosted. And what happened with the positive one that had the positive thoughts? All these ice crystals.
Nice.
Yeah, all the ice crystals started to come out, and really beautiful crystals. And with the
I saw the experiment on YouTube.
Yeah, it's crazy. And the negative one had like this black.
That's like the placebo effect.
Exactly, yeah, but it's true, and it's just like literally just 2 bits of water, and the one that had negative had all these black crystals, and inside it was just like really messed up, and there wasn't any good. It was just all dark and like almost destroyed itself on a cellular level, just through the thoughts, which is quite.
And when we think that we are water for more than 70%.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
How can that affect us?
It's a really good point. And so this is another little point here, how to transform this inner critic just into your inner coach, because obviously we can help ourselves by talking to ourselves differently. And there's a quote by James Allen here as well. We are today where your thoughts have brought you. You'll be tomorrow where your thoughts will take you. And talk to yourself like a winner. Most self-criticism and self-judgment is motivated by love. Part of you is trying to do something to motivate the rest of you to do something for your own good. I wish you'd get up and do the laundry. I wish you'd get up and read that book. I wish you'd be more talkative to people. These sort of things we're saying to ourselves. Just like your parents, they might say to you, "Will you stop running across the road?" And to you, you'd think, "God, why are they always telling me off?" But really, they're just trying to think, they think love to you. They're thinking, "God, I really love you. I just really don't want anything to happen when you're on the road." But it sounds like it's a criticism, but they've really got the best interest at heart. And that's the same for yourself. You're actually looking towards helping yourself, and there's a lot of love there. Have you guys got any examples of that as well? Like, when your parents are giving you something of, it sounds like a horrible thing. But then when you think about it, actually it's my best interest what they're doing it for.
I can think of any now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the same for yourself as well. And like say, make a list of all the things you say when judging yourself. This is like things I put for myself. You're not exercising enough. You're too lazy. Why don't you finish the things that you start? Your room's always messy. You give up on healthy diets too easily and eat too many sweets. You don't focus on my work enough. You're irresponsible and you never keep your word. Little things like that. And I write down a few of these and a couple of the ones that I say to myself, just internally sometimes, that little click like, oh, I've fallen asleep again. In the morning I've slept through my alarm. And I'm always, oh, you're always like this. And there's a 4-step process through this to really, when you hear yourself saying something like, why don't you just get up and start doing some work? That's the anger. And then, why don't you focus on your work enough? You know you should get it done, but you never do it. You're always rushing around, but you never actually get anything done. Why can't you just focus? It's the anger. That's the whole stop crossing the road sort of a thing. And then ask yourself, what's the fear? I'm scared that you can't focus on things right now. That your business is going to struggle, and you won't be able to help as many people as possible. Make a lot of money in the process. That's what I'm scared of. And then get yourself a request. Say, okay, so I want you to write yourself a plan every night before bed of all the things you're going to get done the following day. And you spend 1 hour every morning focus on your most important tasks before you do anything else. That's a request on yourself. So now it's already gone from, oh, why can't you just focus? Saying, right, I'm scared that you can't focus because the business is going to struggle. To, right, I know it's going to struggle, but it's going to help this. Why don't we write a plan for ourselves? Then every morning, spend an hour, get up an extra hour early, and focus on the things that are most important and do them for an hour. And then comes the love. I love that you're so committed to hard work and that you want to be the best. You're such a wonderful life ahead of you, and I want you to be the best that you can possibly be. I love you. And the way we do this is what I was saying the other week when I said about, I look into the mirror and I'm talking to myself. And you say, I love you at the end. You start to actually understand that this criticism is just yourself talking to you, and you got your best interests at heart. And you start getting this sort of a coaching little mastermind going on, and it turns into like a positive thing. And you start thinking, right, God, I'm just being so lazy. What I'm scared of is that you're not motivated enough right now. And if you're not motivated right now, how do you expect to be motivated in the future? Okay, I want you to request that you do 5 minutes of work now, and then see how you get on. And obviously, when you do 5 minutes, you actually carry on because you're already motivated. I love how motivated you usually are, and that you work hard generally, and that you want to get a lot of things done. Do you understand, guys? Is that making sense?
Yeah,
a lot of sense.
I've seen it this way before.
I'm doing this now.
Sorry, MJ, what were you saying there?
I never see negative talk as in like a parent nagging you to look after yourself.
Does it make sense?
Putting it that way. Yeah, putting it that way, it doesn't make it seem so bad when you understand why you're doing it.
And you understand that you're not actually just being like harsh on yourself. You don't have to feel bad because you have got your best interests at heart, obviously. And this is something that Tony Robbins actually wrote in his book as well. Simply by changing your habitual vocabulary, the words you consistently use to describe the emotions of your life, you can instantaneously change how you think, how you feel, and how you live. And he's a big advocate of this, as probably you know Adrian as well. And he's a huge person on this, and he's just ultimately confident and happy all the time. Why not just try it for a couple of days?
Yeah.
Every word, like when someone asks you how are you doing, oh, fantastic, phenomenal, and I've got a little exercise for you guys the next week, just to write down some words when people ask how are you doing, or what did you get up to last night? Have a response just prepared so you're ready for them. Phenomenal. Have a look in the dictionary. I've got a little word of the amount of positive words I've got them hanging in my room. When you just say exquisite, and it can be more detailed as well. Unlock your vocabulary. Actually, I'm really energized today. Actually, how are you doing? And it'll give them energy, and you'll feel better for it. Having an amazing day. It's brilliant. The sun's not shining, but I feel amazing. I'm shining inside. Little things, and it's like, I'm sure I'll agree that I'll feel better than saying, yeah, not bad, thanks. So, yeah. This is a finances formula, back to the chapter, what people usually do. And you might have seen this slide on one of my previous webinars. People work out how much they get paid. They, pay the bills, as we all do. They buy the food and the clothes, as we all do. Put money away for some holidays or little trips away. But then, what's left? I mean, realistically, there's nothing left. And that's where, the powerful thing of paying yourself first, what you mentioned, Adrian, and even MJ as well, setting yourself up a savings account is just so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And all you guys watching this as well for a catch-up, it's something that you got to put in place because it's we all know it, it's way too easy to say, yeah, I'm going to save. But then realise, once you got paid and all the stuff's gone out, I ain't got enough to put any money away this month. Because I've got this to pay for, I've got this to pay for, we're going away next month. I'll just put that towards a holiday. Once you get a certain percentage and you put it away, and it's just yours to keep, Monday morning, what you put it away on Monday morning is essential. And this is the importance of repetition as well. And the more we repeat information, our subconscious mind becomes conditioned, and the connections get stronger and stronger. And funnily enough, quite ironically, you'll hear me repeat this quite often, and it's powerful. And you probably know it. Once you start linking an emotion to a certain person or to a certain thing, the more you say it to yourself, the more you feel, and the easier it gets. And it's a powerful thing. Learning to read, learning to write, riding a bike, learning a language. At first, it is tough, but the more you do it, the easier it gets, the easier it gets, the easier it gets. I mean, I'm practicing my touch typing on the computer, not looking at the keys when I'm writing and doing it at a decent speed. And it's tough, at the beginning it's tough, but then the more you do it, the easier it gets, and you find like little patterns that you can use, and it becomes easier and easier, and the connections get stronger and stronger. So as well as using it for practical things, like externally, use it for internal things. Make it easier and easier for yourself to say, I feel amazing, thanks today, how are you? In a really positive way as well. Oh, I feel amazing, thanks. I feel amazing, thanks, how are you doing? Give the energy out, because we're literally made of energy. That's all we are, basically. And it becomes easy to recognise, and it becomes second nature. Once you become really good at something, I mean, I don't know if you guys got any hobbies or something that you just really, really, you know what to do. You just get there and you absolutely smash it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And you don't have to think about it. You know, it's just something that you do now, and you go into your flow, and it just takes over. Like even driving a car, you know, it just takes over, and you just like literally you sat there and you're driving and talking to people, and there's no thought processes. I mean, for me, I'd probably say one of the things is cooking or even playing pool. I played that much pool for like 5, 6 years. I can have a conversation with somebody and, you know, clear the table and not even be looking at the balls, really. You know, I know if the ball's going to go in or not because of how many times you've sat down there and you looked at the shot and you've taken it. So this is what it should be looking like, your week. On Monday morning, that's mine. That's your money. That 10% is yours to keep no matter what. And then if you've got any debts or outstanding loans or anything, that's a Monday night and Tuesday morning. And then the rest of the week, you know, you've got a lot of money the rest of the week to put towards paying your bills and organising your things as well. And it just really sets you up, and it's going to be tough for the first while. But then you realise, actually, I've actually got a little bit of money, you know, that I do waste on certain things. And I can actually live off this amount now. And you get comfortable with it, and you can understand how to have a good life with it. It's always tough at the beginning, but once you start doing these plans, it's great to see you both have got this paying yourself first in play with your savings accounts. So where should I put the money where I'm saving? This is a question as well, and you've probably seen this slide as well. You know, the average savings account has got a measly 0.06% APY or interest, and many of the banks are as low as 0.01%. You know, my savings account of my bank, I put money in there so that it's a savings, but I think I got about 1p interest in the last 6 months. So there's not much of a percentage there for sure. I mean, there are some accounts that go from 1% up to 2 and 3, but you need to put in certain amounts of money into those accounts that are like, you know, £2,000 or £3,000 a month in some of these accounts, just to make sure you're actually getting the interest there. And with inflation at 0.5% currently, how much are you actually saving? You know, and you're probably losing a little bit, to be fair. I know it's going to a safe place and it's good that you're actually putting it aside, but how much are you actually saving? And this is what I mentioned before with gold, and it's an option which I've used myself to put it into a place, and it's handy for me because it's in gold, so I can't really just transfer it on my savings account to my normal account. You know, it's a cash value, and I can go into the bank with my gold and get money out. You know, it's a currency. However, it's just harder to get to. And you know, money is one of them things that fights inflation, and it's continually increasing in price as a result of that. And this is just a little chart just to show the significance of that. Going back, you know, just to 1965, you know, we're only going back 50 years, and gold was priced at £35.50 an ounce. And then it's gone in 10 years, gone to 139. Imagine if you had £35 then, and then today it's just gone through and through and through, even through recessions and, you know, all these bad things. Now it's £1,092, like literally today. That's how much it's worth for an ounce. So it just makes you maybe wonder and have something in place if when you're thinking of getting an investment, or, you know, well, where can I put money so it's actually gaining something. Gold's always going to be around. You know, they're always printing more money, but the only way to make more gold is when stars start colliding with each other and creating planets. You know, we can't make gold. All we have is all there is. So it's an interesting thing. I'm not sure how you see that, and it's not something as well. Like I thought, well, I can't afford to buy gold. It's expensive. If you have a look at this picture on the right hand side, there's actually amounts that you can actually have smaller amounts of gold, and they actually go down to a gram of gold is something you can buy, which is what I think the guy's holding in his hand on the right picture. And a gram of gold has cost as little as, you know, £30. So it's not something you'd think, oh, it's going to cost so much. It actually is quite affordable for a certain amount. Well, for me especially, it's something that I thought, oh, actually, it's like a little savings account I've got going on for myself, and I can't access it, but I know I've got the money there if I need, you know, for my future. This is another thing. Goals should be exciting for you guys, and it should also scare you. And if not, set bigger goals. Think little goals, expect little achievements. Think big goals and win big successes. And I'm going to go a little bit into the mind here as well, and how we all have the power to choose and the power to act. Our two highest faculties, and this is us, as we've gone through before. It's our picture of who we are as people, and obviously the mind has been the bigger side of it. We've got this reason faculty. We have the ability as people to reason with an idea, to weigh it up and think, and choose whether it's a good decision to make. Now, this reason faculty is huge when making decisions with savings, with the sort of people we're around, and all that sort of a thing. So really, you have this reason, and that's how we can talk to people as well, and maybe get them to see your side of things. You got the memory. People think, oh, I've got a bad memory. I've got a terrible memory. And this is the power of words, like we were saying before. Memories for people, like for us humans, are the more powerful than any supercomputer on the planet. And you all know how much a supercomputer can actually store. So much terabytes of information, it's unbelievable. You can watch like 1,000 movies on a computer nowadays. There's that much memory there, and our minds are more powerful than that. We can literally remember every single thought, and with a little bit of practice and a little bit of consciousness awareness, we can actually improve our memory. I mean, I've had tons of times where I've said, I've lost my keys, can't find my keys, and they're right in front of me, but I've told myself I've lost them, and I can't remember where they are, and I was telling myself I've lost them, so I couldn't actually physically see them, and someone said, Josh, it's right here, what are you doing? It's like, oh, I'm not sure you have a similar experience yourselves, but it's a bit of a weird thing, but this is the power of your words. You're telling yourself you've lost it, so you can't see it, it's there in front of you. You're telling yourself you can't remember people's names. Because you see what I'm saying, guys, with this? Is that making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sometimes put my glasses on my head and then I forget they're up there and I wonder where my glasses are.
Exactly, yeah. And our perception. Now, this is huge, especially for you guys that are going to be getting into sales, because we have to, as quote salespeople, see everyone else's side of things, because to them, for us, we're offering people a brilliant opportunity. We know it's a good opportunity and it's going to help them a lot. However, they don't know that. So you need to see where they're at and see how they're going to see things through their own eyes. As an example, in Think and Grow Rich, when I can show you a book and the cover is facing you, and I could say to you, there's no writing on the front of this book, but you can plainly see writing on the cover of the book. But from my eyes, I'm seeing the back of the book, and there's no writing on it. So to me, the front's blank, because I'm seeing the front. So it was having the same experience, but a different perception of things. And this is where your sales will come into play. And when you think, you're trying to sell someone something too much, that's your perception. And you got to really, this is just works through practice, but just being open-minded. And if people disagree with you, just thinking, okay, what are they what are they thinking? What are they seeing? How could I help them in their situation specifically? And you won't always necessarily get a sale, but you might get a friend out of it, and you might get a potential sale and potential clients in the future from it, just by seeing, they might not be interested in it because they've got certain things into place already. But if you get them as a good friend, they can offer the opportunity to all their friends and tell them, oh yeah, Adrian and MJ, they're really good guys. They got an opportunity, but they didn't try and sell me too much. But, have an interest, because it's a good thing, and I would do it myself, but I've already got this product. So have a look, I'll give you his number if you want. He's a really friendly guy, he's not too pushy. That's how the power of our perception can actually work in our favour, and our will. Now this comes down to using our language and setting these goals, and with the savings, we have the will to do anything. A lot of people see obstacles so much, they focus on them so much that the objective gets, it gets pushed back and never actually gets into play. Whereas, Napoleon used the phrase, I see only the objective. the obstacles must give way. And it could be a similar thing for yourself, you know. How many clients are you going to have? Not how many clients do you want to have, how many clients are you going to have? Well, I'm going to have 4. So what's it going to take for me to get those 4? What am I going to do? Well, to guarantee 4, I probably need to speak to 100 people. You know, it sounds like a big number, but I need to speak to 100 people. 1, to practice my pitch and to practice what I'm saying to them. 2, a lot of people might not be interested. And 3, you know, that's a good amount of number to get, you know, 1 in 25 people signed up. So, okay, I've got 2 weeks to do this. I need to speak to, you know, 9 people every day about this. That's the power of the will and setting up plans and then following those plans. You know, that's why we avoid these lazy days and these days where you're not doing too much, because it just keeps you focused and keeps you willing to go forward and pushing, you know, even when you feel tired. Your intuition as well, guys. This is a powerful thing, you know, picking up on certain things. You know, picking up on the little feelings in the room and how we feel. You know, you could be talking to somebody in general and saying, "Are you feeling all right?" Because you can tell, you can sense that they're not feeling okay. So this is something you need to pick up, especially with your sales and with your businesses. Focus on intuition and what's your gut telling you. Have you actually got a sale, or are you just talking to somebody about it? And if you are, just go along with it and make a friend. You know, go along with your intuition. If you understand they're not actually going to be a client, okay, cool. You can, I'll do your best again to pitch across. But using your intuition, you know they just want to be a friend. So don't be too pushy and actually go with it. And your imagination, obviously this comes when you're setting your goals. And what I spoke about earlier on, you know, and how much is enough. And having these, you know, what house do I want to live in? Have a dream goal, obviously, of where you want to be in 10 years, 20 years. But have a goal for 2 or 3 years. Where do I have myself in 3 years' time? What do I want to feel in 3 years? You know, what car do I want to be driving? You know, how do I feel in my business? Is it running smoothly? What needs to happen to get to me there? What am I looking at when I'm at my house? You know, how does it feel? How many rooms are in the house? You know, that sort of a thing. You know, what do the bed look like? What does my garden look like? And be specific and set these goals. Figure out how much things cost, and then you can really move forward with it. So, you know, what are your goals looking like, guys? Are they getting more clearer and getting that more clarity in there for yourselves? Now, another point to touch on here about feeling, and it's a good one. This is one of the biggest take I got from one of the books I read recently. How are we feeling? You know, good, bad, brilliant. It's good words. You know, it's good wording. But once you put yourself onto a scale, so how on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I feeling? Okay, I feel a 6. So what do I need to do to get to a 7? And it's just such a small step. You might think, I'm quite tired now, I'm feeling like a 3. Alright, then what will it take you to get to a 4? Oh, well, I guess to get to a 4, I'd need to, you know, get up and have a coffee. Something a little simple as that, you know. 4 is not a huge jump. And then when you're at a 4, so right, what do I need to do to get to a 5? Alright, I need to sit down and start doing some work. Now I'm at a 5. So I need to get outside and get some fresh air, and clear my head, and then come back inside and read a book. I need to speak to a certain person. And you're just building up these little layers instead of feeling, you know, bad and good. You guys can maybe, this makes sense to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not thought of doing that before, so yes.
Oh, brilliant. That's a nice reassurance for you there, then.
Yeah.
And this is quite cool. This is a question which I'll ask you guys now. Where are you shopping for your clothes? And it might sound like a bit of a random question, but this comes into play with the consciousness. And where you shop is how you are, how you feel comfortable shopping. If you want to get yourself a nice cheap bargain so you can get nice clothes and have, you know, good quality stuff, you know, Primark stuff is quite good. I'm not going to lie and say it's bad stuff. I got a few ties today myself and a couple of pairs of socks. And they got some good value and quite good quality clothes. And the same for H&M as well. You know, they got some decent deals in there. They got a decent amount of clothes. So you're shopping in these sort of shops, or are you shopping in these sort of shops.
Not
Now, you might see the shops and think, well, I want to go into Hugo Boss. I can't afford that. I can't afford to shop at Gucci or Armani. Am I right in thinking that, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, bear with me a second. Because you're telling yourself you can't afford it, then you're telling yourself that. But how many times have you gone to a clothing shop or you're looking for shoes and you've gone in there and you just haven't found the right pair or it just didn't fit right and you've left? Have you had that experience a couple of times?
Yeah, loads.
Yeah.
Right, and it makes sense, you know, you just didn't fit you right and you just didn't feel comfortable in it, so you didn't want to buy it. And but obviously the people that were in the shop were looking at you and saying, yeah, do you need help with that? You know, you're like, no thanks, I'm alright, I'm just looking. And you are just looking, you're trying a couple of things on, just didn't fit right for you, so you leave. They expect you to buy it and they expect you got enough money because you're already in the shop. And why can't that be the same thing happening and going to these sort of shops? You know, why can't you go into a Hugo Boss shop and try on a couple of nice suits that cost about £1,000 each, or you know, a couple of nice dresses that cost a couple of £1,000 each, and then think, actually, it doesn't quite fit me. I'll leave it, thanks. But the sense that if you're in these shops, the people that are working there expect that you can afford it, so they treat you like a person who can afford it, and then you kind of start feeling like one as well. It's something I played around with myself and my girlfriend. You know, you go in there and then you leave. You don't have to buy anything because I don't always buy anything anyway when I go shopping. You're trying things on, it don't fit quite right, doesn't really feel comfortable enough, and then so you just leave and you think, oh, I got a good deal now. Why not go to the most expensive designer shops? Have a look at what the good life feels like and what it looks like when you're wearing these clothes. Try on, I love it. It's something I actually found I really enjoy doing. You know, I'll go into a Hugo Boss shop and try on £1,000 suit, or a Burberry shop, try on £1,000 suit, and I'll be saying to the person, well, I'm not sure this tie works for me, how about that tie over there? How about these cufflinks? I think the shoes will get a good combination, what do you think? And I'm not going to buy this suit, don't get me wrong, but I'm getting comfortable, and I like the idea of having this suit and having somebody waiter on me, because these people that work in these shops don't get many customers anywhere, so you're probably making their day a bit happier by giving them some company, you know, because no one really goes in Gucci all the time as much as Primark, so a lot of the waiting staff are actually just hanging around waiting for people to come in, and you can kind of get a feel for a few things, and then this will give you a good image of what you want to be wearing when you earn that £1 million, or when you're actually successful in business, and it's really fun, you know. And I'm not sure if you guys want to. How do you feel about that, guys?
I used to do that when I was a lot younger. I used to go out with friends and used to try on dresses that were really expensive.
It's cool though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you feel kind of good doing it. How about you, Adrian? How do you feel about that?
I didn't really try that.
Yeah. How do you feel about maybe trying it?
Well, I was just thinking of going maybe this weekend and try this.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, what are they going to say? No, you can't come in because you can't afford it. Or, sorry, sir, can you afford that jumper you're trying on? You know, there's fitting rooms and stuff just the same. It smells nice in these shops and you've got a lot of space. And you can ask about, you know, what colour suits what colour. You know, what matches well. And I'm sure you know, MJ, with fashion. I haven't got much of an idea. I generally get my girlfriend to go shopping with me to help me out. But, you know, it's nice just to get there and the people help you out a lot more and you feel comfortable. And then you can walk past the shops and go and try on a nice pair of shoes that cost, you know, £2,000. You can try them on. You can walk around, have a picture of yourself in them, and then walk back out again. And then put a picture on your wall at home saying, these are going to be my shoes in the next 6 months or in the next 2 years. You know, and this is whole, you know, because imagining the goals, like for me, I'm a very visual person, if that makes sense. I like to see things, I like to write things down, whereas some people are quite kinesthetic people. They're very in touch with the feelings. You know, they really like to be around people and touching things, and they're quite emotional people. You know, they get in touch with their emotions very easily, and you know, they're happy and sad very, very comfortably, and they pick up emotions very easily. always auditory people as well, who are very aware of what they're saying and what other people sound like. Now, everyone falls into one category, primarily, but a lot of people, transition into a couple. There's always a primary and a secondary. Like, I'm a visual person, but I'm also quite a feeling person as well. I get in touch with my emotions, and I like the feel of things. I like, I can feel a situation out, how it feels, and I'm that as well, but more primary visual. So I can write goals down, and that's fine for me. But for people that are quite feeling orientated, trying on things, is quite a good way to get your body used to it and your mind used to it, because they relate to feeling more. And trying on new dresses and new suits can relate to people really well. And going to a car dealership, because the same shops are the same as car dealerships. Go to a car dealership that's a Lamborghini or a Ferrari or a Rolls Royce and say, do you mind if I get a test drive? Because you're already there, they expect you've got enough money to pay for it. They're not going to ask you, sorry, have you got enough money for this? Because they'd lose commission. And you can even just sit in the car, in a Ferrari, and feel comfortable. Have a picture and put it on your wall and feel what it feels like to be in that situation. Get all your senses engaged. And this is quite cool, you can play around with it and do whatever you want, but this is just something for you to think about, maybe. And it's a whole thing. Like, when you're in the movies, for example, I'm sure you've both had a similar thing. You get scared when you're watching a horror movie, or you laugh at a comedy, or, you get, when a thriller's on, you get really tense. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, we all know that this clown zombie thing isn't real. And, it's not going to come and hurt us. And yet, in the same way, we feel scared. And we've got goosebumps. And, we're a bit thinking, God, I'm not going to sleep tonight. No cheese for me later on, so I don't have nightmares. And, we're still getting scared. It's because our conscious mind is seeing the thing. And we're telling ourselves, oh, this is scary, it seems scary. And we actually become scared. So on the same side of a flip side of this, when you see yourself dressing like a movie star, sat in the car like a movie star, you feel successful. And you actually start acting successful. And then you get the whole feeling, the feeling of foolishness and the feeling of being a bit greedy and a bit strange. It goes away completely because you feel successful. You're sitting in these cars. And then when someone says, oh, look at that Ferrari, you can say, yeah, it's a nice car. I prefer a Lamborghini myself. It's more comfortable. Just makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a bit of a weird concept, but it really is powerful. And it really does start making you think differently. And, the world is bigger than what we think. We're not limited to these shops and these cars and these lives. Go to a show home, have a look around the house that's on sale and it's worth £1 million. If you're in there, they believe you got enough money to pay for it. Imagine yourself sat there with your widescreen TV, it's like a cinema screen TV, and sitting there in the house, plan a little weekend away, looking at houses or, driving around in sports cars for the weekend. You're actually allowed and it's free. They'll give you coffee all day and hot drinks to try and, get you comfortable with the idea. So it's a cool weekend out and it's a cheap one for you and the family as well if you're thinking about it. And it's a fun day out. So that's just something to think about. And this is the whole thing. If you continuously have a picture of a goal of who and where you want to be in a conscious mind, which is where the goal actually is, it gets conditioned into your subconscious mind and you become goal orientated. You start thinking about becoming successful in these goals without even thinking about it. And it turns to your actions. You start working towards the goals and you start realizing, people start asking you for business instead of the other way around. And you start getting these results and start having this money and start having all these successful things because you've conditioned yourself. You're continuously thinking, okay, where do I want to be? What am I doing? And what do I want to earn? And this is the Babylonian law of financial success. A part of all you earn is yours to keep. And that's paying yourself first. And it's a good way that you guys have got separate accounts for that and you're paying yourself first. And that's why I mentioned gold as well, just to put it somewhere where it's yours to keep and you can't really touch it, and you've got access to it as well. How do you guys feel about the whole gold thing?
I've never thought about doing that before.
I've thought about it, but I think it's a bit risky, or I don't know.
Risk. You see, I understand what you're saying, but with gold, it's not like a stock market. If that makes sense.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is investing in gold is you need to know a lot more about it before going into that.
Yeah.
You need to know a lot about investing in gold, a lot about investing in general before going into it. As I am now, I don't know anything about investing and things like that. I don't think it's a wise thing to invest in gold or
definitely
doing something like that.
No, it is good to
That's
figure
what I'm trying to say.
No, I completely understand, and I'm definitely with you as well. I'm a big advocate on figuring out what is the best option. So you put your money there, you want it to be a safe option, and that's just why I put up the line of how much gold's been going continuously up in the last 50 years. And it went back another 50 years before that as well. Where gold was at £15 an ounce. It's just slowly gone up and up and up, and it's just continuously going up. And it does make sense to me. There's more people in the world, so we need more money, like paper money, to go around. But the gold money stays the same, so it's going to be worth more because it never moves. It fights inflation. But it's just an option for you guys to think about. More of a it won't make you rich quick, but as a long-term investment, it's a safe option for me, where I put a little bit of money, and it's continuously getting a bit of interest. Like I say, a couple of years ago, gold had it's increased in 5% since 2 years ago, which is a decent amount for a savings account to have over the years for myself anyway. But I'll just throw an option out there for you guys to digest and maybe have an option instead of just using your savings account or putting your money aside, having your money actually work for yourself. And these little things which you might have or might not have done, I'm just saying, like, these little habits that we all have. I mean, I used to be a bit of a coffee fiend. I like coffee. I like the taste of it, and I like the little buzz it gives me to keep me on top form. But like coffee and a chocolate bar or a breakfast bar every morning from Starbucks was going to cost you, £5, £4 or £5 for a coffee and a breakfast bar, even from Tesco and Costa, and £5, 5 days a week, added up to about £120 a month. And that's £1,340 a year just for a quick coffee and a snack. That's a holiday for me. I don't know about you guys. But then figure out, what are you actually spending in a month? Have a look at your bank statement for the last month and just see. Be surprised, what are these little things that you're actually paying for? And are they really essential? Because a person who's financially successful, he looks at things in terms of investments. And I've started to do it myself as well. My girlfriend will say to me, do you want to have takeaway tonight? I think, well, that's only about £15. Now, I've got food in the fridge and I can cook. That £15, if it becomes a habit, that'll be about, once a week, £15 a week. So that's, £60 a month. That's £630 a year. Just for that one takeaway. If that makes sense. It's just building these things, and being aware, what I'm actually spending my money on. And everyone says I ain't got enough money for things. But what are you spending? It's I saw something on Facebook earlier on. Why do poor people have so many tattoos? And they seem to have enough money to afford a tattoo. But then when you say to them, what are you saving? Oh, nothing, I'm in debt. But tattoos aren't cheap. They cost a few £100 for a couple of hours, and they're covered in them because they can afford, because they want to look good, and they think it's an allowance. So what are you spending on in a month? Have a little look at your outgoings, and just keep on top of it and think about it. These little extras that we allow ourselves. Do you really need it? And because if you think, oh, okay, if I don't have coffee and a chocolate bar a month every morning or every couple of days, and I'll put that money aside into a savings account, you've managed to save yourself for a holiday, for a good holiday as well. You know, that's a decent hotel that in wherever for a week for yourself. You know, and they spend all the money at the weekend having a good time, drinking and partying. But I'd spend, you know, a couple of £100 on a good weekend. You know, going out on Friday, Saturday, having a bite to eat as well. And it just flies. The money flies out your pocket. And
yeah, to
you know,
keep a diary
yeah,
about all my outgoings.
you
And
do.
I found that I was spending a lot of money on eating out. We were as a family.
Mm. It's surprising that you might not even realise it. You know, just like a one here and one there. So when you do look back, it's quite. I was quite surprised myself. You know, when you actually do look back.
Yeah.
So it's just something.
I remember once we went to Pizza Hut and I had like a pasta meal and it was just like really rank. I thought, "Look, it's like all out of a tin." I thought I could have made this at home for like 30p a person. Instead, I was paying like £7 for this really horrible cheap pasta meal.
Exactly.
And it made me realise, I could just do better at home.
Yeah, exactly. For a lot cheaper, especially with the pasta meal. It is.
Yeah.
It is crazy. This is a little thing about compound interest, guys. Which is why I'd probably. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor. I mentioned the gold thing as an option, but to put your for gold for me is about an increase of 5% annually, which for me is a decent enough interest. But if you've got the money, and it's an investment, by the way, this, have yourself a look at a financial advisor when you get a second, and tell them to find out where you could put your money into a savings account that, you know, goes into maybe a 10% or 12%, which is very, very normal. The average stock market on Wall Street was at about, a 9.47%, I think, last year on average. So that's just like the average one. So if you go to like an average financial advisor, that's the sort of percentage you'll be able to get on your money. And this might seem a little bit of a scary concept, investing things, and I'm going to lose all my money. But just to think about compound interest, if you actually look into it and read up a little bit about it, it's surprising, you can get some other safe options, like for me with gold. I can get 5% interest and gold's not going to go anywhere. There's no chance that gold's going to be worth tomorrow a lot less than it's going to be worth, next month or next year. It's going to go up if anything, because there's only one thing that's guaranteed, we're going to print more money, so gold's going to be worth more. And it's a whole thing of, did you think about getting dressed in the morning? No, you don't. It's just money. It's just something that you do habitually. Now, this is a slide that I put on before. If I put £10, just £10 a week away, 50 weeks, you got £500. And now if I put it for 30 years, how much would I have? It's about £1,500. Now, that's not a massive amount, but even still, by £10 a week, it ain't that much to put away to have £1,500, £15,000 by the age of 30. I'm sure, we're all reasonably young on this call, and I wouldn't it's not as if we're in our 60s, and 70s, when this is sort of happening. It's nice to have 15 grand there from putting £10 a week aside. But if you manage to find someone who can invest your money with a 10% interest on this £10 a week, which could easily become a habit, and this is something that I'd really recommend you guys looking into, and something that I'm looking into doing myself. Oh, can you guys hear me? Hi there, guys. Are you both there?
Hello.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I just dropped out for a second. I'm not sure what happened. I think someone must be draining the internet downstairs. But yeah, as I was just saying, if you can find someone that can put your money with interest at 10%, and it might seem like something that we can't all afford right now. I can't afford an advisor and whatnot, and I understand. But if you could put an investment inside for yourself, to set up this one-off thing to find a place to put your money with a 10% interest on £10 a week, you wouldn't have £15,000. You would have, £99,000, almost 100 grand from that £10 a week. So I know it might seem like you can't really afford this £10 a week, or this money for a financial advisor, but if you could think, alright, okay, it's an investment in myself, and they're not all expensive either, have a look around and see what the cheapest one is in your area, and the average investment is about 9.5% anywhere. So imagine just finding someone in 30 years, you'd have almost 100 grand. It's not a bad pension plan, eh?
There's a guy. Sorry.
Hey there. Sorry, I think you guys are talking then. Go on, MJ.
There's a guy called Martin Lewis. TV a lot. He's like an expert money person, but he's got his own website, and on there you can get advice on. He'll tell you which accounts are giving the most interest, like who's doing the cheapest gas and electric and things like that. So that's a good site. To help with money.
Yeah. Oh, I'll check that out myself, actually. That's something a good one.
Yeah, that's Martin Lewis. I can't remember what his website's called, but you just Google his name.
I'll find it. But it's interesting how the power of compound interest works, right? Saving £10 and you've got 100 grand in 30 years is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
And this is for people who say, you guys are both on there, but if anyone else listening, I can't afford to start saving now. And it's something that I tell myself lots of times, and you'll believe this every day for the rest of your life until you start right now. Put that money away and it's yours, and you're starting to build a habit, that repetition of saving money. And, we cannot consistently do what is inconsistent with our own self-image. And that's completely true. This is where I come with the finances and the mindset of, feeling successful and being successful, feeling comfortable with money and then having a lot of money. We can't do what's inconsistent with our own self-image of how we see ourselves. Once you see yourself with these things, then you can start to allow them into your lives. And so we do offer a coaching service as well, and I know this mastermind is a brilliant option for you guys. And if you're looking for a more one-to-one, same with you guys on the call as well, or listen to the recording, personal and professional coaching is something I offer as well. I do work with John Canary, one of the bigger names in coaching development. So if it's something that you feel like you'd need to have to really progress in your business and become the person you really want to be in this day and age, and develop this mindset and this constant reassurance that we're going to get there, and develop a plan that we can work towards to get you where you need to be, just hit me up and give me a message, and we can talk further and move on with that. And the next chapter, guys, is the image maker. Now this is another one that's really it's good, and it's starting to really emphasize the power of your mind and how much it can really impact who you are today, and how much of a goal you see for yourself in the future. So how have you found the session tonight, guys? How about you, Adrian? No nightmare. Sorry about that. I heard you typing actually, which is quite funny. So how did you find this this chapter, guys? How about you, Adrian? How did you find the chapter? Like, how did you find this evening?
It was interesting.
Anything like you feel like you picked up you might be using?
Well, one thing I said I'll do this weekend, go into those nice shops and try some suits and shoes.
Yeah, go wild, man.
Watches. I really like to see some watches, some nice watches.
Yeah.
Maybe Rolex.
Yeah. Oh yeah, get the good ones, bro.
Yeah. This is what I'll do this weekend.
That's cool. How about you, MJ? How you found this evening? Found it good?
Really good. Yeah, it's been an eye opener. It's made me look at things in a different way. Like the negative self-talk and whatnot, not being really negative. It's more like self-preservation.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's fantastic. And what I'll do for you guys, I'll record this and send a copy out to the page for us, and I'll release the next audio for you guys, so you can have a little listen. Obviously, the chapter's there for you to read still, MJ and Adrian and the rest of you guys. But I'll release the audio for you. I love audio, so it helps me listen so much, and while I'm going to work and stuff, and to actually listen to Bob talk himself. He's the one that actually narrates it, which is cool. And yeah, I'll catch up to you guys in the next couple of days and see how you're getting on. And feel free to fire a few questions into the group and ask, if something you don't understand or something you want to ask. I'll be happy to help moving forward. Or if you want to cover anything that we covered today, how much is enough, and just refresh your mind, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions and to help you guys and give you some ideas.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Okie doke. Alright guys, you take care of yourselves and I'll speak to you soon.
Okay then, bye.
Bye. Cheers.